All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another We Read the Documents live stream. Your host, John Brissett. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you want to support my work, buy me a coffee/We've Read. All donations are appreciated. God bless you. If you want to subscribe to my work, search We Read the Documents on Odyssey, Patreon, Substack, Rumble, YouTube. Substack gives you the greatest access to my content. You get access to my written work. You're able to listen to my live streams in podcast and audio format. My fellow brother in Christ and I, Jeremy Stone, have a Christian podcast. Search By Their Fruits wherever you listen to podcasts at. And I've been a naturopathic author and health coach for greater than 10 years. Go to fixyourgut.com for all your gut health and natural health needs. God bless each and every one of you. Oh, look. Looks like we're getting some pro-Thomas Massie propaganda.
Can we be honest with the American people about what's
Dissident media.
going on here? This is political theater.
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly.
The president's consultants have spent $1.8 million against me.
What he promised us was we would put America first.
Most Democrats are just fine with this kind of totalitarian state that the bureaucrats are pushing on us. But Republicans at least pretend to be against these things.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
This is not going away. How many agents or assets of the federal government were present on January 6th?
We are going to the Capitol.
The American public isn't buying it.
We're knocking out bumps.
You getting sassy with Massie, chat? You getting sassy with Thomas Massie?
What he's showing us here is not a bump stock. And I would hope that we've learned something from the COVID experience. That some of our science projects aren't the best ideas.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good.
If you look at my colleagues' feeds now, they all look the same. Everybody but me has an AIPAC person. It sets up a fake fight that we all know here is fake. The compromise has already been reached in a smoke-filled back room here. You don't have anything open.
Interesting. They used the video from the Psychops video, huh? They used the video from the Psychops video. Why would you do that, Tom Woods? You're a libertarian, right? You're a libertarian. Why would you do that, Tom? Why?
Over on me. Like, you could literally take everything I've got and I can create it again. I refuse to be a thespian in this failure theater.
That's right. Thomas Massie, not the actor, right? Just look at Tom Woods for a minute, okay? Just for a second, all right? Tom Woods, a senior fellow at the Mises Institute, Ludwig von Mises, right? Austrian libertarian economics, proponent of the Austrian School of Economics. That right? That's right. Tom Woods is a libertarian. He's a Catholic. Okay, academic work in the history of the Catholic Church, right, chat? Oh boy. He's a Rothbardian, Murray Rothbard libertarian and an anarcho-capitalist, chat. Yeah. And so who else do you think he backed, huh? You think it would be the Council for National Policy member and Freemason Ronald Paul, right? Wasn't Ronald Paul very similar to Sassy with Massie, right? What is it, Ron Paul Sassy? You know, the lead voice of common sense inside the Congress, the halls of Congress, right, chat? Right? Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Huh, just like Thomas Massie. And, you know, we talk about Masons, right? Oh, we wanted to congratulate Congressman Thomas Massie on his re-election to the House of Representatives for a fourth term. Congressman Massie is a senior DeMolay from Crimson Shield chapter in Vanceburg, Kentucky. Well, DeMolay International was a youth leadership organization with Masonic origins. So you had Job's daughters for the girls, who, by the way, Ron Paul's daughters were Job's daughters, and his wife was Order of the Eastern Star. And so Massie, when he was young, his parents were likely Masons. He was brought up in the Order of the DeMolay. Yeah. And since we're on the topic of John Birch Society and the Council for National Policy, right? I always reference this when I talk about Thomas Massie, because if you're getting sassy with Massie, all right, you have to mention the John Birch Society. And this was the John Birch Society's 60th anniversary dinner, celebrating the John Birch Society's epic journey. Now, I've referenced this constantly when I've talked about Thomas Massie, and Thomas Massie exposes the swamp. That's right, he's exposing the swamp, chat. And look,
Well, we grew up.
he's giving the keynote speech at the 60th of the John Birch Society. The 60th anniversary of John Birch Society. Look how, dressed up, sassy with Massey is in his tux at the 60th anniversary of the John Birch Society. And there he goes, giving the keynote speech. And, a lot of what he says I don't necessarily disagree with, chat. One thing he says in this speech that I do disagree with, however, is he talks about the effectiveness of using glyphosate on opium crops to reduce opium output by poisoning the Afghani people over in Afghanistan. Massey's a farmer, right? He's America first, and he's really, knowledgeable about glyphosate toxicity. One would think, right? Because Sassy with Massey's our guy, right? But anyway, he's giving the 60th keynote speech to the John Birch Society. Good old JBS DeMolay Massey. Just like John Birch Society, CMP, Freemason, Ronald Paul. Wow. Huh. Birds of a libertarian feather flock together. At least the way I see it. Of course, he's next to former John Birch Society CEO Arthur Thompson, sitting right here on his right. But he's just Thomas Massey's our guy, right? He's running the Truth for the Epstein Files chat. Running, being there forefront of the Epstein kind of Victims Speak Out conference in D.C. that we saw yesterday. Him and Marjorie Taylor Greene chat. We're going to talk about other people that were there, other people that should not have been there. Why were they there? If this thing was legit, why would you have these people anywhere near a 10-foot pole of this so-called Victims Speak Out chat? The Epstein victims finally get a voice as Thomas Massey spearheads the campaign for the release of the Epstein client lists and the Epstein documents chat. He's the tip of the spear, right? Massey's the tip of the spear. And, now he's saying that he's going to read it and be protected under congressional laws as a congressman so that he will not get sued. The victims said that they were going to do it themselves and they were going to release their own client list. But now he's saying that he's going to read it in Congress, spearheading the movement. Good old DeMolay, JBS, sassy with Massey. The only one that stands up there and tells the power of AIPAC, and I'm not belittling the power of AIPAC over our congressmen and women, but he's the only one, right, chat? He's a lone voice, just like Ronald Paul was the lone voice. Hope I've stated my case when it comes to Ron Paul and Thomas Massey. I've done videos exposing both. They're not our guys, okay? But, he's the forward face. He's the forward face, right? And so someone who was there at the Victims Speak Out, Epstein Victims Speak Out, was Gloria Allred, the famous feminist and Hillary Clinton operative. And her daughter, Lisa Bloom, was who got involved in the Katie Johnson, Katie Doe rightful expose of Donald Trump as a pedophile with Jeffrey Epstein. And, of course, I believe that Lisa Bloom co-opted it. Katie Johnson was not taken seriously during the 2016 election of Donald Trump. So anybody who was throwing together this, let the victims speak, right? As soon as they saw Gloria Allred was there, they should have been vocal and told her to get out. Nobody wants her and her daughter. Her daughter represented Harvey Weinstein, for God's sakes. Lisa Bloom, the most so-called feminists, right? The feminist Gloria Allred and the feminist, her daughter Lisa Bloom, represented Harvey Weinstein, was legal counsel for Harvey Weinstein. So yes, of course, this gives magatards plausible deniability that this whole thing is a Clinton operation. When we saw one of the Epstein survivors, victims, one of the Epstein, maybe co-conspirators, went out there and spoke and said that she went with Bill Clinton to, the infamous trip to Africa with Chris Tucker. And I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. I can see his face. Sometimes this happens when I get brain fog. Kevin Spacey. So, again, Gloria Allwood's a Clinton operative, but yet they expose Clinton at this thing? I don't know. It's complicated. Okay, so we have Liz Crokin, who is Flynn's attack dog. Okay, Flynn's attack dog. She writes, "Caution, the Jeffrey Epstein clown show psyop will continue. I'm going to warn you what to expect in the next days and weeks regarding the Jeffrey Epstein dog and pony show psyop that's been unfolding. Expect to see more fake news on Epstein, including more rug pull Epstein file releases, possibly faked or doctored evidence released, and many more false claims and accusations about President Donald John Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I believe it's a strong possibility there will out more women who have been paid to make more false allegations against Trump. Tied to Epstein, his friend, and/or his island, the tactic was deployed by Hillary Clinton going back to 2016 and executed by frauds like Gloria Allred and was at the center of today's clown show." So that's her referencing Lisa Bloom and Katie Johnson / Katie Doe, which Ed Opperman was 2 knees deep in. And two knees deep in. Who cares, right? "I'm so confident and have strong faith that we'll get real disclosure and justice. Hopefully we'll at least begin with Alex Acosta, CNP, Council for National Policy member Alex Acosta, testimony later this month. Regardless, proceed with extreme caution on any information that comes out related to Epstein, of course. Someone who's deeply researched Katie Johnson, both me and George from CabDev.org, someone who has vetted her allegations, including, what's his name? The famous... He brought out the information about Maria, and he used to go on InfoWars. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. He was a investigative researcher, too. Anyway, let me see if I can... I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Hold on. Sorry, guys. See if I can find who that was. I'm not going to be able to probably because it's so buried deep in the internet search engines. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. Chat. Sorry about that, y'all. Anyway, if I could remember his name, I might, I think it was Waterbury, Connecticut. Wayne Madison. So Wayne Madison, who, vehemently hates Trump now, it's kind of moved to just constantly attacking him, almost destroying his credibility. With him attacking Trump, just viciously. It's always just hating on him on X. Him verifying, Katie Johnson and Maria, right? And Waterbury, Connecticut. The Justice Integrity Project with Andrew Krieg. So, he also verified him as well, too. All right? So... here we have Gloria Allred is representing Epstein victims. Gloria Allred is Lisa Bloom's mother. Lisa Bloom got caught offering $750,000 for women to accuse Trump of sexual assault. Again, there's nothing posted here showing that. Lisa Bloom paid off a woman's mortgage if she would accuse Trump of sexual assault, a family of fraudsters. And then Rosie Memos down here says Lisa Bloom perpetrated the Jane Doe crackhead. So that would be released. The Jane Doe crackhead is... an attack on Katie Johnson, on Katie Doe, saying that she was on drugs. She's a crackhead. She was homeless. Okay? All slurs and slanders given against her to destroy her credibility. All right? And that lie about Epstein and Trump, people still repeat that lie daily. Why was Gloria Allred there? Why? People that were in control of that conference, why would you let her around it at all in a 10-foot pole? Why? This doesn't help anything. All it helps is Trump. So here we have Donald Trump Jr., referencing the Epstein and Maxwell survivors yesterday that I played an interview with NBC News. saying that they never saw Trump having any appropriate relationship with Epstein or children or anything like that. And Donald John Trump Jr. says the left is trying so hard to pin Donald John Trump to this while ignoring all their friends who were involved. But as I've been saying for years, if he was at all involved, don't we understand that that would have leaked years ago? The liberal tears will be flowing bigly. Ops on ops on ops. Well, we have Brian Cates, drawn strike, working, with Crokin and that Flynn team, and, his old account being Slow Walker about Sessions, right? They literally got some of the base to recently turn on Trump and his team, at least over releasing the Epstein list. After all the other crap they tried failed to peel away any of Trump's support, the Epstein psyop worked. Don't think they didn't notice that. Since all their fifth-generational InfoWar strategies, dude, what do you think you've been doing? What do you think Liz Crokin is doing? What do you think Michael Flynn is doing? Fifth-generational warfare to the hilt. Cambridge Analytica, the QAnon operation, anybody? That ain't fifth-generational warfare? We already know who coined the term fifth-generational warfare, who was involved with all this, which was former, quote-unquote, CIA agent Robert David Steele. And Brian Cates has the gravitas, the testicular fortitude to sit here and tell me that believing that Trump's a pedophile, with all the evidence that we have that Trump's a rapist, that it's fifth-generational InfoWar strategies. Fifth-generational warfare strategies that went tits up in failure. They're going to continue hammering the one nail that got them results. The good news is the deep pockets of the Unipari Luciferians. No, you're a Luciferian, Brian K. You're a dark to light pusher and believer. You're a false great awakening pusher and believer. You're a Luciferian. Are going to have to step up into the open to drive the Epstein psyop further forward. They can't low-key any longer to make the Epstein case about Trump. Everybody's going to have to get out into the open and push. Yesterday it was Gloria Allred. There will be more. One hope to survive the next 3.5 years is to drive Trump's popular support down far enough where he backs off of doing all the radical stuff he's been doing so far in term 2. Interesting. It's radical stuff, huh? They don't care how they do it, just that it happens. Be careful who you follow. Why is anybody taking what you write seriously, Brian Cates? It's ridiculous. And just a reminder of all those people, why do you harp on Lisa Bloom so much, John? Lisa Bloom on working for Weinstein. Attorneys represent a lot of distasteful people. This woman claims to be a feminist. Her mom is one of the icons of the third-wave feminist movement. All right? Gloria Allred. And a feminist is representing Harvey Weinstein? What? Oh, so here we have Bradley Edwards. I've covered Bradley Edwards, my issues with Bradley Edwards, why I don't trust Bradley Edwards. Okay, and I'm not the only one who's covered him. All right? Look at where they're trying to push. Again, Bradley Edwards saying this nonsense, all right?
Thank you all for being here.
I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then.
Now, a lot of people say, well, why would he do that if he's guilty, John? If he's guilty, why would he help the investigation? Well, out of pride and arrogancy, there are examples where criminals help or taunt lawyers and law enforcement officials with information to steer the case away from them, or just to mess with the lawyers and the prosecutors. It's even a common trope in Hollywood that this happens. Anybody ever watch Columbo? So just because Donald Trump cooperated with Bradley Edwards doesn't mean he didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't mean he's not a pedophile and a rapist. But Bradley Edwards gets up here, does his song and dance, thinking that he's representing the Epstein victims, that he's such this, lawyer of moral integrity. And look, I'm not the only person who's exposed Edwards. Like I have issues with Johnny Vedmore, but he exposed them. Nick Bryant's talked about his issues with Bradley Edwards. I have talked about my issues with Bradley Edwards. You can go check out my PowerPoint presentation on my Substack about the various connections between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, where I've talked about my issues with Bradley Edwards. All right? And so Bradley Edwards is getting up there and saying, well, I hope Trump goes back to cooperating with me like he did in 2009. And so that's being pushed to the hilt by all the MAGA-tards. And, of course, they're also pushing the interview with Derek Brose from the Conscious Resistance. They're pushing that interview when he interviewed Bradley Edwards and taking it out of context.
The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009. I can tell you that I talked to President...
So they're going to push this. You're going to hear this push ad nauseum. So what does Derek Brose says? He calls Benny Johnson a piece of crap. Stop using my interview out of context. This is a small piece of a larger interview. I talked to Edwards again today. Didn't get to record a new interview, unfortunately. And he said for the second time in a couple months, maybe I trusted Trump too much. Well, nah. If Trump was trying to steer it away from Bradley Edwards, then maybe too much trust was put in Trump because, again, he was guilty of sin. He also admits in his book that talking to Trump did not involve a deposition or any kind of legal oath. It's just him sharing rumors, which means it absolutely does not exonerate Trump. Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. So again, don't believe this short clip being put out of Derek Brose interviewing Bradley Edwards. Don't believe that Bradley Edwards is exonerating Trump. He's not. Do I think he's giving us some plausible deniability? Yes, it may be incorrect, of course. Just like I don't trust Virginia Roberts-Gifford completely, and I've talked about that. I think her family's paid off by Trump. And in closing, in all this, if we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Elon Musk and Donald Trump, all, deeply connected to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, well, it looks like, Elon the White is returning, right, Chad? Elon the Gray to Elon the White. Looks like their little tiff, their little fight, looks like that was in wrestling what we call kayfabe, right? It was a storyline, chat. It wasn't real, all right? So let's see what Trump has to say about Elon Musk now, chat.
Well, I don't think he has a choice. So what's he going to do? He's going to go with the radical left lunatics? They're lunatics. I don't think he has a choice. He's a man of common sense. He's a good man. He got off the reservation.
Elon Musk is a man of common sense. Using common sense, right? Bringing it back, right? Common sense, right? Talked a lot about my issues with using the phrase common sense. I'm not going to rehash that again. You can go look back to previous streams, my issues with it. But, we have Trump now. And again, Elon Musk basically called Trump a pedophile. Alluding to that Trump's a pedophile, right? And now Trump's completely forgiven a man, quote unquote, says he likes him now, that alluded to him being a pedophile. Ops on ops.
Incorrectly, and that's okay because, it's just one of those things. But he's a good person. He's got, 80% super genius, and then 20% he's got some problems. And when he works out the 20%, he'll be great. But he's got some difficulty. But I liked him. I always like him. I like him now. But he went off the reservation, and he wished he didn't do it. Well, I don't think he has a choice.
Trump don't forgive anybody like that. Trump is vindictive and full of revenge as much as he possibly can be. Now, he will go back to saying a person's okay if, they come back after, quote-unquote, betraying him. But not the way he just praised Elon Musk, even though he did say he's 20% crazy, and Elon Musk would later agree that Trump's right about this. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. So this is a follow-up stream from yesterday. Just more information and more stuffs, and ops is coming out. We're going to have some more ops on RFK Jr. tomorrow, and transhumanism, and the revisionism of Operation Warp Speed, and, you know, Albert Bourla coming out from Pfizer and saying we should give Trump the Medal of Freedom. No. Yeah, was it the Medal of Freedom? No. Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize for Operation Warp Speed and Operation Tiberius Kirk. I don't know what peace, the war on COVID, I guess. But yeah, I think it was the Peace Prize. Hold on, let me make sure. Let me make sure that's what he said specifically. Yep, the Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize for COVID-19 vaccine, said Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla. I guess it was the war on COVID, chat. I guess it was the war on COVID. I guess is what it was the war on COVID. That was a crazy war, chat. Crazy war. Trump, the vaccine president, right? Yeah. So, yeah, the Epstein Victims Conference sure was interesting yesterday, chat. Sure was interesting. Take care, everyone. God bless. See you soon. And love you guys. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Have a good day.